Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Inside LSU Baseball. I am your host, Jason Armstrong, going to be bringing you the LSU Mississippi State preview. We're going to try to go fast here, so we're going to focus a lot on Mississippi State, just so that when you're watching this series, you have an idea of the team that's on the field and team that we're having to get out at the plate. So let's jump right into the preview. But first thing I want to do is just do a brief recap of the midweek. All right. So after dropping 2 out of 3 to Texas, LSU entered Tuesday night really needing um, to get some guys some work, but also they just needed to get back on the winning side of things. You know, LSU had a 17-game winning streak, hadn't dropped back-to-back games all year. And when you lose 2 games in a row for the first time, the best thing to do is just get right back on it and get a win under your belt. So the Tigers took out some frustrations on Louisiana Lafayette. I really honestly don't know what we call them these days. ULL, USL. Um, I'm not sure what the correct term is. But anyway, in the game, the Tigers erupted for 9 runs in the first inning on the way to a 17-4 shellacking. Really wasn't close. Just brief recap. Jared Jones had 5 RBIs. He had a grand slam in the first inning. Freshman catcher Cade Arambidi, good to see him break out. Went 3 for 4 with a 2-run homer and a double, 3 RBI. Second baseman Tanner Reeves blasted another home run. And really ULL was they hit the ball pretty well, but they allowed 14 free passes. Can't win like that. So what stood out to me? Once again, Jaden Newt was pretty good. Through 3 innings, 1 earned run, 5 hits, no walks, 2 strikeouts. And they hit the ball a little bit, but you'll notice against Jaden Newt, teams don't really drill the ball. They don't have string a bunch of hard contact together. He's just really hard to square up. Jaden Newt's last 3 outings, 9 innings pitched. He has given up 9 hits, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, and 11 strikeouts. Only 1 extra base hit, which was a double for Jaden Newt over his last 3 outings. So again, I mean, even in the game in the first inning, they got a couple of infield singles that they drove the ball right into the ground. Braswell tried to make a good play, but so I feel pretty good about Jaden Newt. What I feel best about is that over those last 3 outings, 94 of his 150 pitches were strikes. That's 63%. And right now, LSU's looking for somebody to bridge that gap, but to get them to Cowan, get them to Case and Evans. So, Newt's shown that he can give you anywhere from 6 to 12 outs, and so that's going to come in handy. The other thing that stood out is William Schmidt. He is really a mystery to me right now. Through 2 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 2 free passes. The most concerning thing is his inability to throw strikes. He threw 53% strikes versus ULL, and that's just not going to cut it. His last 3 outings, William Schmidt has thrown 3 1/3, given up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 7 walks, and 1 strikeout. That's a 13.51 ERA. Only 45 of his 94 pitches were strikes over the last 3 outings. That's 47%. And when you think about what made William Schmidt the prospect that he is, it was his breaking ball. And I'm telling you, William Schmidt's breaking ball right now looks like if I went out in the yard and was trying to, bring back my old days of being on the hill and spinning. It's not breaking. A lot of them are missing high in the zone. When it does get a little break, it's far outside to right-handed hitters. It's just not there. I mean, if the William Schmidt that pitched for Catholic High last year was on the hill, he'd be great. I don't think anybody do anything against him. I know that's part of the adrenaline and pitching in the SEC and pitching at Alex Box against a bunch of guys that you played with last year on that Lafayette team. But however you want to say it, he's just not really been who we think he can be. I mean, his velo's down, low 90s. When he wants to, he can get it up there. But for the most part, just hasn't been sharp, and Jay's trying to get him out there. Aaron Beatty, he got the magic moment, incredible. Like I said, 3 for 4, 2-run homer. He's got 7 hits on the year. 5 of them are extra base hits, and 3 of them are home runs. And what's interesting is that half of his at bats are like pinch hits or getting in late in the game for an at bat, and that's very hard to do. Uh, so I really like when he does get multiple at bats. He seems to really be heating up. That's somebody to watch out for as a potential. Who knows? Maybe DH down the line or getting some key at bats, maybe pinch hits in some of these SEC games. So that's what stood out to most to me in the midweek game. Now let's transition into the upcoming weekend series and what you should know about the Bulldogs. First of all, let me tell you this. I think it's an extremely lazy take to say things like, based on Mississippi State's 1-5 record in conference play, that they're a terrible team, and almost assume LSU is going to win the series and anything but is like some major, failure on LSU. I don't know how some of the people that talk about LSU people are even allowed to talk about them. And I don't mean to come across dis, disrespectfully, but I think it's a lot of these guys that talk about football most of the year and just aren't used to. I don't know what it is. I digress. I don't want to get into that. But anyway, um, the SEC is hard, and then I'm going to talk about this Mississippi State team. But just like I talked about Missouri, you see what that offense has done the first 2 weekends of conference play. Missouri is not somebody to take lightly. So on the year, Mississippi State 16-9. They're 1-5 in conference. Basically, they beat the teams that they're supposed to beat, but they haven't had success against the toughest teams on their schedule. They're 1-8 against top 25 teams. And if you look at their schedule, I mean, they've had an impressive sweep of Missouri State, who just beat Arkansas, lost a 1-run game to Troy, lost a 1-run game to Arizona, lost a 2-run game to Oklahoma State. Impressive. I mean, they clobbered Southern Miss 18-3, had a good win against Old Dominion. And then in conference play, I still just don't think it's as bad as it seems. And I'm going to go through that. If you just look about like the Texas series, game 1 of the Texas series, Texas had 2 hits off of Pico Khan entering the 7th inning in a game that State is up 5-3. Chase Hungate, who's supposed to be, Mississippi State's key offseason pickup from Virginia, great reliever, he implodes. Texas gets a 3-run home run from Casey Borba. They go up 8-5. And State actually had Dylan Volantis, the guy who LSU couldn't touch, on the ropes in the last inning, but Mississippi State fell 8-7. They had a big throwing error by the catcher in that game, gave a run away. So they lose game 1 to Texas by a run. Game 2, it's a 3-3 game going into the 5th. And this is what I think is deceiving, because it was only a 7-inning game because they postponed one of the games, so they had to do 2 7-inning games. And I swear that helped Texas, because I think Mississippi State has a deeper bullpen, and we'll get into that. But it's a 7-inning game, and in the 5th inning, Max Ballou hits a 2-run home run in a tie game, and they win 5-3. I think we all know about what Max Ballou can do. So another game, they're right there in. Game 3 of the Texas series, it's a 1-run game in the 7th inning. So it's another 7-inning game, and Texas is up 2-1. They wound up tacking on 2 more runs. They win 4-1. So that series, I mean, there was 2 games for sure that Mississippi State had chances. Now, you have to win. Playing close games isn't enough, but this is a team that can play with anybody. Oklahoma series, game 1, Mississippi State actually wins a 2-1 pitchers duel between Pico Khan and Kyson Witherspoon from Oklahoma. And I'll get more into the stats and talk about some of these individuals. So they get a win. Game 2, State was down 7-0 after 2 innings due to 4 errors, won by every single infielder. They had the error cycle. So Sawyer Reeves, the second baseman, shortstop Dylan Cupp, first baseman Hunter Hines, and third baseman Ace Reese, they all booted a ball. So Mississippi State could have quit there, though, but they didn't. They battled back. made it a 7-5 game. Um, Oklahoma got another lead to go up 10-5, or padded their lead. And Mississippi State stormed back again. They take an 11-10 lead, and they had 12 hits between the third, fourth, and fifth inning. Those 3 innings, 12 hits Mississippi State had. Ultimately, though, Oklahoma got a huge 2-run home run in the bottom of the eighth. They win the game 13-11. State had 17 hits and lost the game by 2 runs. Game 3 of the series that just went down, and this is a rubber match. It's a 4-3 game going into the sixth inning, and the Mississippi State bullpen couldn't hold them, and Oklahoma wins 7-3. So I just went through 6 of their conference games that they're 1-5 in, if you look at that and say this is a team that's terrible, you just don't. I'm sorry, don't listen to those people. Okay, now State on the year they have a 315 batting average. It's only 267 in SEC play, which SEC play is always harder. I mean that's not much behind LSU. And in the listen to this, in the 6-5 losing games, right? So they're 1-5. They have scored less than 4 runs 4 times. So to give you some perspective, LSU has scored less than 4 runs only in 1 of their 6 conference games. All right. So they're just not scoring a lot. They've got hitters, but they're seems like every week, game it's something different, but they can put up hits in bunches. They can hit for power at times. They're just not scoring enough runs. Now, their top hitters, just so you know this opponent. USC upstate senior transfer Noah Sullivan. He's a two-way guy. He actually pitches in the midweek, and he's been great. On the weekends, he's the DH. Last year, in 2024, he batted .324 with 17 home runs. This year, he's hitting .395 with 4 home runs overall. And in SEC play, he's batting .455. Very impressive. Now, Hunter Hines. We all know Hunter Hines. He's been there, seems like, 8 years. It was a very surprising when he decided to come back last year. But, the guy can flat out hit, and he's hurt LSU over the years. He's coming off a 6-for-13 weekend against Oklahoma. He's hitting .348 in SEC play after a slow start. And the senior first baseman entered the year with 54 home runs. He's up to 58, which is second all-time at Mississippi State. He's only 9 behind Rafael Palmeiro. And so, I mean, he's got a very good chance of ending this year as the all-time home run leader at Mississippi State. And that's a very storied program. He homered 2 games last year against LSU. So we're very familiar with Hunter Hines. Now, Citadel senior transfer Sawyer Reeves has been smoking hot. He's kind of been platooning, but I think he's found his way into the starting lineup at second base. I mean, he's hitting .583 in SEC play. He had 5 hits the first 2 games of the Oklahoma series. I think he got hurt because I don't think he started game 3, so something's there because he was off to a great start. But maybe we'll find out more about that. Now, Houston transfer third baseman Ace Reese. He's been really impressive, especially his power. He's a left-handed hitting third baseman. He's tied for the team lead with 8 doubles, and he leads the team with 8 home runs and 34 RBIs. And then to kind of complement these guys, they have a bunch of experienced players that can hurt you. Guys that you might be familiar with, Aaron Downs. Aaron Downs is having a career year so far, hitting .327 with 7 home runs, but he's 0 hits in 13 SEC plate appearances. Downs killed LSU last year. I think he was 7 for 11 in the series against LSU. Another one of those players, Bryce Chance, he's played a ton of SEC ball, only hitting around .215 in SEC play. He's somebody else who homered against LSU last year. But if you look at this lineup compared to last year's, you're only going to recognize Chance, Hines, Downs, and maybe Joe Powell if he's in the lineup at catcher. Now, on the mound, Pico Kahn is an elite Friday night ace. Interestingly enough, they're not throwing him game one. So he's actually going to stay throwing Friday night, but since this is the Thursday night series start, he will not be throwing. But on the year, he's 4-0. He's got 6 starts, 2.52 ERA. He's thrown 35 and two-thirds innings, only 18 hits, 53 strikeouts to 7 walks. Teams are only hitting 148 against him. And in his 2 SEC starts, he's gone 6 innings both times, 12 innings, 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks to 16 strikeouts. SEC teams are batting 122 against him. The guy is a complete stud. I was kind of looking forward to seeing him and Cade Anderson face off, but guess we won't see it. But he was typically followed by a combination of Stone Simmons and lefty Luke Dotson. Those two, Simmons and Dotson, combined in SEC play for 5 and two-thirds, 0 earned runs, only 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. Dotson, he pitched a good bit last year for them. He's only given up 1 run this year in 8 appearances. So they've got big arms in the bullpen. They really do. They're going to run out guy after guy that you're going to go, my goodness, this guy's throwing gas, big breaking ball. Now, it doesn't always come together, but this, in my opinion, this is the best pitching staff that LSU has seen, better than Missouri, and I think they're much deeper than Texas. So of the guys who have actually pitched innings for Mississippi State, so I'm throwing out the guy who's got 2 appearances and 2 innings, or he's thrown 1 time for 3 1/3. The guys who have actually pitched, there's only one that has an ERA that is in the 5s, and that's Jacob Pruitt, who, and I'll talk about these guys because Mississippi State has 2 really good relievers that they were going to count on that just have not lived up to their ability. I think it's Chase Hungate from Virginia. He was incredible for Virginia last year. And Jacob Pruitt's another one of these Indiana State guys that he's looked good. He started some games, but he just hasn't been great. And the box score doesn't always tell the story because sometimes a reliever will come in for a starter who's pitched his butt off, maybe walks a leadoff, gives up a bloop single. Then a reliever comes in and gives up a triple, scores 2 runs. Well, guess what? That goes on the starter, but it's not. So he's pitched probably not as great as his numbers even look. But I think they've got a deep pitching staff. Matter of fact, Mississippi State ranks 3rd in the nation in 3 categories. The 3rd in the nation in hits per 9 innings, in strikeouts per 9 innings, and strikeout to walk ratio. The guys can pitch. They don't walk a ton. They can strike you out. They don't give up a lot of hits. So, and excuse me, their ERA is actually a tad better than LSU in conference. They've got a 5.81 ERA, and it's 3.55 overall for the year. Teams are only batting 195 against them. Now, they've had second and third starter issues. I'd say really a second starter because they tried starting Ben Davis a couple of times. He looked really good as a reliever. Those hard, good stuff. And his 2 SEC starts, he's only lasted 3 2/3. So he's actually out this weekend. They're inserting Evan Sierra on Thursday night. So Cade Anderson's going to face off with Evan Sierra. Sierra actually started a game against LSU last year and went 3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs, couple walks, and a strikeout. Experienced guy, but I guess to keep all the rest of their guys in line, they're not going to move Pico Khan up to face Cade Anderson to Thursday night. So we know all about Pico Khan. Evan Sierra is going to start Thursday night. The other starter, and I don't know if you pronounce it Ligon or Ligon or legal something, Carson Ligon. He spent 2 years at Miami, and he started 25 games at Miami. Last year, he made 15 appearances for state. He's become a starter this year, and he's got nasty stuff. I remember seeing him last year, and I liked him a lot. 93 to 95, he can touch more, higher than that. What caught my attention, he's got a very good changeup. And he's got a good slider. He's got a couple of different breaking balls. But this is a guy who's got 100 innings under his belt from the ACC and SEC. So I'm not selling, Carson Ligon short at all. And then when you pair him with Pico Khan, that's two really, capable starters. We'll see what happens with Sierra. But again, I like this. I like their pitching staff more than I like their offense. Now, defense has been just, it's been okay at times, but overall, just, I guess, bad if you were giving them a grade. They're fielding 949 in the SEC right now. 949. Um, 10 of their 24 errors have been made in SEC play. And that's in 6 games, conference games, they've made 10 errors. That's not going to do it. Listen to this statistic. They've allowed 19 unearned runs through 25 games this year. Last year, and this is a super regional team, so they weren't not only played their 56 game schedule, played Hoover, regionals, went to a no, did they go to a super regional? No, that's right. I don't think they did. I think that actually Virginia played Kansas State. I could be wrong, but I know they were. I'm drawing a blank right now. They were. I know they went far in a regional. Um, maybe they didn't make C. My point is this: they only gave up 21 unearned runs all of last year, and it's a postseason team. They're at 19 right now. So they've made it hard on their pitching staff. The again, defense just hasn't been great. But don't kid yourself. I would rather Mississippi State be 3-3 right now, 4-2, than coming into Alex Box 1-5 because they're better than that and they're due. Okay. Now, keys for LSU, and we're wrapping up. You need to start fast, and I think that winning game one is important because having Cade Anderson go against Evan Sierra, that's not a fair matchup. All right, most people aren't a fair matchup against Cade Anderson. But the last thing you want to do is drop game one with Cade Anderson, and now you're facing Pico Khan game two. I mean, this guy is a legitimate ace. He's a very good pitcher. I mean, nobody's been having success against him. So that's one key is just getting off to a good start Thursday night and getting a win. Now, the other is the bullpen, and I made this point, early in the week that this is a very big week for the LSU bullpen. You really need some guys to step up, to have some good performances, whoever that's going to be. But you got to have more than Zach Cowan and Kason Evans. And I did mention this, that going back, if Jay could do game two over again, you've got a lead. You've got a 7-6 lead in the 7th inning, and Benj had been dealing. I think maybe you run Kason Evans out there and let him finish the game, knowing what we know now. But listen, that combination that can win a series. The Anderson to Cowan, and then game two, getting it to Kason Evans. So, but we need some other people to step up. I don't care if that's Newt. I keep talking about Cooper Williams, but getting a lefty in there. We need Connor Ware to be better, but we need the bullpen to show something. We also need the rotation. And I don't necessarily mean Ianson, because I really liked what Ianson did last weekend. I like the way he looked. But we talked a lot about this. Is it Chase Shores' time to go in the bullpen? I think that you give him a chance at home, see how he responds this weekend. That was a very good lineup that, facing Texas on the road like that. And so I would like to see what Chase Shores can do running, 97 in on the hands of Mississippi State. So offensively, the offense has been so good. We're kind of nitpicking, but just a couple of things. I'd like to see Josh Pearson get going a little bit. You're going to see at least 2 right-handed pitchers start against you, and a lot of those relievers are right-handed pitchers too. And so Pearson's going to have opportunity. He's only 3 for 18 in SEC play. That's a 167 average. Now, he's having a great year. I'd like to see him get going. The last thing you want him is start slumping, losing confidence, which he's so mentally tough. I don't think that's an issue, but I'd like to see him getting going. The other thing is just putting the ball in play. We talked about it, but like Mississippi State has made 10 errors in 6 SEC games. If you got to use a sack bunt, use a sack bunt. The other thing is I think you can run on them. They have not been healthy at catcher at all. Ross Heifel got, I think, hit in the eye, got hit in the face. I don't know what his status is. Um, Joe Powell's kind of been there a few years, and I think you could probably run on them. So again, start fast. Got to have the bullpen step up. Need Chase Shores to really have a good bounce back. Love to see Pearson get going, and you want your best guys to be better than their best guys. So that whole we don't have to worry about Curriell at this point, but got to get between Dickinson, Jones, Milam, need those guys to be big this weekend, and ultimately look. It, you want to win the series, but at this point, look, win every game if you can, right? So you don't settle for 2 wins. You try to win as many as you can and keep building. And but I feel good about LSU winning this series. Um, I liked it even before the season started, and now that I've gotten a chance to see both teams, I feel really good about it. And so I expect LSU to get the series win, but really more importantly, I'm looking to see how these guys grow, how these guys bounce back, because you're not trying to make a regional. You're trying to make sure when you play the best teams in the country later in the year, you've got all your pieces in line and you're ready to make a postseason run. That's all I got. Y'all, tried to make this one a little bit quicker tonight, and hopefully we will get this win. And I will be coming back right after the series is over, and we will talk to you with all the breakdowns of what happened in the series. So go Tigers! Thanks for joining us.